good.
Okay. So today we are going to have a movie that we talk about, and that movie is War of the Worlds. So as you probably know, each one of us picks a movie, and I guess apparently this time I picked War of the Worlds. I don't know how that worked out. Basically, we were sitting around, what movie should we watch? Keegan said War of the Worlds, and then he's like, nah. And then I was like, oh yeah, we should do War of the Worlds. And then we kind of argued back and forth a bit.
You begged us for weeks to watch War
It was
of the
more
Worlds.
like, I think I was just asking Chris if he had seen War of the Worlds, and he said no. And then you got really excited about that and was like, we gotta watch it.
Okay.
So that's why that's your movie.
So that's why that's my movie, is I picked this one. And I will tell you later as we progress what I feel about this movie. Are we talking?
So how would you like to start the discussion?
So since I'm in charge of the discussion, basically we should probably give like a little synopsis of the film. Do any of you guys want to do that?
If you don't want to.
Trying to remember what this movie's about. Okay, so there's...
We just watched it,
We
Levi.
It does say on the back. Okay, so basically, this is War of the Worlds.
Hey, which movie is it again?
It's
Based off of the novel.
based off of the radio thing.
No.
The radio hit.
The hit single from the radio. War of the Worlds. So there's Tom Cruise in it. There's other people. There's
Dakota Fanning.
Dakota Fanning.
Goku's in it.
Goku.
Oh, yeah.
Is that
Tim
okay.
Robbins is in it.
Timothy Robbins.
Robin Williams is in it? I guess, I don't know. So yeah, basically they're just a happy no, they're not a happy little family, never mind. There's a
Dysfunctional film.
dysfunctional family.
It's a very Spielberg-y thing to have a deadbeat dad who has to connect with his children.
That is very Spielberg. He's also in the movie too. As the director.
So Spielberg saw Independence Day back in '96.
Kind of gives me that feel. Because there's
well,
aliens.
Yeah. So it's actually interesting because he was wanting to do like an alien invasion movie back then.
Yep.
But then Independence Day came out and he saw it and he was like, that was really fun. Man, I don't think I'll be able to do my movie anymore. So then, almost 10 years later, he came around to War of the Worlds, and it's kind of more grittier than Independence Day.
It's more intense than fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting because it's like he was going for what Independence Day was going to be back then, but then jump those years later, and he wanted to do something more serious and all that, at least from my understanding.
Didn't we watch the movie, the old one? Me and
We
you?
did. I can't remember how long ago it was, but
Yeah.
Levi and I watched it, and it was rough.
So in the beginning of the movie, you see his kids getting dropped off at his house. Like his son doesn't even want to be there, and there's just tension of like you feel it immediately.
I like the one shot with that whole tension where they're playing baseball. They're playing catch, I guess.
Yeah.
And the ball goes through the window. They throw it, and then they do the shot.
Where he's in the middle of the...
Yep.
That reminds me because Spielberg loves those types of shots, and I'm pretty sure he does that at least 3 times in this movie.
He does it in the windshield.
Yeah, when the
after
car
he crashes.
flips.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's twice with a car.
Because the guy punches through the windshield.
Yeah, and I think there's a shot like that, and then there's also a shot where the car flips, where he's in the car that flips over, and he sees his daughter through the broken...
On top of the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like at least 3 different times where he does that, and don't get me wrong, I love those types of stuff too, like shots too, but I think it's funny that he does that at least like 3 times in this movie.
They're at the house, then they start seeing like those like pockets of like lightning storms.
That's
yeah,
right.
which is a
And-
pretty intense scene.
Which
I
is
really like that.
which is pretty crazy.
Sky's
and-
all crazy colors and stuff. And
Right, and everyone's kind of looking up at the sky, and they're all like, "Whoa, what is going on?" And his daughter like is out there for a sec, but then she gets scared and wants to go back in. And then, is it the next day that things start happening?
No, he
Or is it like
as soon as the storm stops, he goes to the
it's like the neighborhood's like center, or like where the shops are.
like downtown or whatever.
Kind of, yeah.
Which is also a great scene. I love when everything cracks and breaks and then starts turning, and then the tripod emerges, and then bellows out that iconic sound effect that they use in Pop Star.
Plus, it makes this sound. Wow! Why would it make that sound? I don't even know, but it's nice to know that it's there if you need it, you know? Yeah.
if I saw that, I would be out of there.
They find a car and start driving away.
And they're like the only ones who have a car, which is really interesting.
Well, because the aliens sent out like an EMP,
Yeah.
which fried everything up. But
That he had the guy at the car dealership
Is it
working.
a
He was
mechanic?
he was working on it when that happened, and then he basically just had him keep working on it, and
Yeah.
then he fixed it, and then that's when he was able to take the car and escape.
So yeah, that's very. It's almost like plot-wise convenient, but like they become like the big attention of the movie. Everyone's like looking at this car that they have, and so it's causes problems, but it's also an escape for them. Which is
well, and that brings us to one of my favorite scenes where they're rolling through a town, and there's like a crowd of people that are
yeah.
like walking along the side of their car.
That's right by the ferry, is it?
Yeah,
It's close.
yeah, because it's right before they get to the ferry.
Yeah.
That's why there's a bunch of people there, and some people want to get the car and
Yeah, so they start jumping on it and like
tearing through the glass with their bare hands. It's funny that Spielberg wanted to do a movie like Independence Day, which is like so devoid of any sort of realism. And then there's
Welcome
this
to
movie.
Earth.
Yeah.
Totally
And then
away.
there's this movie that's like trying to be as realistic for the most part as possible.
Yeah.
And then that leads to the ferry scene, which I also think is really great.
Yeah.
Other than the sudden introduction of that one lady.
Yeah, I remember saying this while we were watching it.
Yeah, it's just like she shows up, introduces herself to him as someone he knows. Like, it's just kind of like, okay. And then within the time frame of them getting onto the ferry, she gets left behind.
well, because she's trying to
Supposedly
hold on
to
his
die.
coat.
Yeah, and supposedly to die.
Yeah.
So she's like in the movie for like a minute. And like I get that it's like maybe just for that moment, because then afterward the aliens show up and start destroying everyone on the ferry and on land and all that. So I think what he was trying to do there was to show a face for all these people that we're about to see die. And I get that, but it's also just kind of weird.
Yeah,
She just like shows up and
Yeah, you
just
don't
like,
even know.
Because you don't have really any attachment to her.
Yeah, because our main character knows who she is, we should therefore care about her.
But we don't.
But we don't.
Yeah.
You kind of like forget about her once she gets left behind. She
And
just
she had a daughter. I remember that.
Yeah.
But that's-
Yeah. I don't remember her name or her daughter's name.
yeah.
I'm like,
Was it
all
the-
right, Stifler's mom, like, you're gonna die. Isn't that who that is?
I don't think so. I think it's someone
looks
else.
like her.
They head to that field, right, where there's you see
The tanks going up, kind of. And
yeah, you see
Yeah.
the tanks and the sun multiple times, like throughout the movie he wants to go with the soldiers to help fight. Because of his, you know, he's angry. Yeah,
because then there's the scene where he's trying to go up the hill with all the explosions and stuff happening, and Timothy Cruise, needs to either help him get back and convince him to stay with him, or he lets him go and is there for his daughter so he can let his son basically grow up.
So then they make their way to the house
where Timothy Robbins
where
is.
Tim Robbins is, who is a man.
Supposedly.
He's a crazy man who wants to. He's a big fan of what is it? Irony or symbolism or whatever, where he wants to be like the aliens and come up from under the ground to defeat them.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I mean. But I like this portion of the movie because like it kind of is where like everything slows down.
This
is like the end of Act 2.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's kind of like a change of pace from what we were saying. It's like everything is so big at this point. All the danger is big. All the threats are big. At this point, it's changes and goes the opposite direction. Everything is almost small, even though it's the same danger. It's just the scale is different, and so I like that.
Yeah,
it's more pinpointed.
It's all hiding, and I love like sneaking around, like the big threat sort of stuff.
The scene with like sort of the snake tendril thing from
searching for them.
Yeah, where it's kind of moving through the cellar, and they're creeping around corners. And it's just missing them.
And then the aliens come down after that.
Right.
And that, from the little searching thing and the aliens, is very much like the raptors in the kitchen scene.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Land Before Time?
Yes.
Okay, no. So you're accusing Steven Spielberg of being a one-trick pony?
No.
Well, there's even like...
I don't know. You say this, and then you say he uses the framing device all the same.
No, that's what you call an auteur filmmaker.
Okay.
It's poetry. It rhymes.
Okay. Wrong guy. But yeah, I guess the same thing applies.
There's even like a misdirect scene, or a misdirect part of the scene, like in Jurassic Park, where he's trying to close the door, but it's a reflection. Like there's a similar.
This time it's her shoe.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Her foot slips. It gets video of her shoe being there, and so he takes. I mean, I don't know how he would have known that, but he takes off her shoe so that it's still there when it circles around, and then doesn't see that they're anywhere. So
right.
There's 3 aliens that are searching for them. Actually, I think there might be 4. There's just a couple that are on the upper level that we see crawling like away. Anyways,
there's some aliens.
Yeah, so
there's at least 2 that are down there with them.
So during that time, Dakota Fanning is, she's looking at him, and
she's hiding. She's sitting in a chair.
Yeah,
you could almost say she's a fan of them. How much she's looking at them.
And so there's a fight going on.
So there's a fight going on between Tim Robbins and Tom Cruise's character.
There's a silent fight.
There's a silent fight where they're fighting over the gun, and they're, pushing each other up against the wall and just struggling because one of them is insane and wants to fight them, and it's sort of is gung-ho about taking back the planet, where Tom Cruise is basically just sort of in a survival mentality. Like, if they hear us, like if we start shooting at them, they'll know we're here. I'm just trying to protect my daughter. There's an earlier scene where Tim Robbins is talking to his daughter, and he doesn't like that, and he's like, you have nothing to say to my daughter, so don't say anything to her.
Once they all leave, I love the decision Tom Cruise makes to kill the guy. it's like so like dark and morbid. He's like, I have to kill this guy or else he's going to, like, the aliens are going to find out that we're here. We're all going to die unless I kill this guy. And he, in order to make sure that his daughter still keeps some of her innocence, he has her blindfolded and singing to herself while this is happening. And it's such a great moment that is very dark. And I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then the movie kind of goes downhill from there.
You think so?
I would say so.
Okay. I mean, then they have the scene where, I mean, finally the resolution starts coming about.
Yeah.
Right.
The sequence where the alien finds them and his daughter gets taken into the tripod and he has to go save her. Like, that's an okay sequence. But it feels very, like, it feels like the Hollywood Independence Day type of thing where, like, everyone comes together and takes out this alien. And it's like, that's good and all. Like, it's done.
He doesn't like camaraderie. That's,
I'm not a fan.
He hates humanity pulling together to do
Yeah, he actually wanted to do this by himself, but we showed up today, so.
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't know. I like that. But, I mean, it was pretty convenient that he happened to, like, go into a Humvee and find a belt full of grenades and then happened to be put into a tripod with a soldier who understood non-verbally what he was...
That was cool, yeah.
Well, I liked that.
I know, but I mean, you know...
That was a lot of, like, just
a lot of
showing non-verbal
instead not telling.
Yeah.
But I do like non-verbal communication. It's just that it was pretty convenient that it happened to be a soldier.
Sure.
But anyway,
I just think that sequence is very much like, I would say the third act of this movie is like,
movie's done. Finish
it's like it feels like Spielberg was very passionate about the first and second act.
And then he got the second director to come in and finish the rest of it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, that's like almost what it feels
all right,
like.
second unit.
Second unit. Yeah.
Just wrap it up.
Just finish it up for me. And
put a bow on it.
I'm not a big fan of the ending, so just do it.
Yeah.
That is honestly kind of how it feels like.
Yeah.
And it's not like poorly done. It's just like the wrap up is so like, all right, done.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it's fine.
It's a movie.
It's a movie ending.
Well,
whereas like it's like, and then there wasn't too much of the whole, like, because the aliens, spoilers, are killed off by the, you know, microbiological organisms that we have
in our atmosphere.
Yeah,
and
that
our blood, I think it was, because
Yeah.
they're sucking our blood out.
Yeah, well, and they've, like, we as humanity have grown immune to the diseases that they die from and all that. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But there's not really much of like a setup for that.
Well, I think it's actually, and that's kind of one of my things that I don't like about the movie, is before they're saying that, I think if they remember, they're saying that these aliens do that, they suck out the life of a planet and then they move on to another planet. If I remember right at the beginning, they have
I think they
have the little intro where they say that. So this problem would have already been solved if they had done this before, or they would have already had this happen.
Well, I think that was someone's
interpretation.
Yeah, someone who was trying to think of what these aliens are doing.
Also, they bury
their theory or whatever.
They also bury their tripods.
Yeah, so
they were here before.
How did they bury their tripods here?
Yeah.
If they didn't get sick.
I guess.
But I mean, they could have gone here.
Don't look too much
left.
into it.
They were
it's a good
underneath us
movie.
all this time,
Yeah.
but it was like, how did you? Whatever. Also, do you think any of the aliens died from AIDS?
Probably.
So that's War of the Worlds. Rewatching it,
Yeah.
because you haven't seen it in Yeah, when was the last time you think you watched it?
A couple weeks. No, I mean, I've only watched the movie. Okay, actually, I've probably seen it a couple years ago, like on TV, maybe
Right.
when it was over at my parents' house or something, because they always have stuff on. But actually watching it, I only watched it in the theater once, and it was I was down at my cousin's house in California, and I remember it, and I liked what I felt when I watched the movie, and so maybe that's why this is my pick. I don't know, but basically, like
I remember we watched it before though together.
maybe we did, yeah, but it wasn't.
Because I think we watched it and then watched the old 50s one.
Okay, maybe we did.
I think Levi was just trying to hook up that night. so.
Maybe.
probably.
That's
all I remember.
He wanted my right back.
Anyway, so basically, I remember seeing this maybe I was like 15 or 16 or something like that, and I just remember we're California. It was night out, but it was still hot, so I went out to the pool, and I just remember seeing like the street lights and imagining those as the tripods, and kind of that feeling you get when a movie overwhelms you.
Like
It's a
existentialism.
Like if that happened right now, what would I do?
Right.
And I like that about movies. Like you actually
I
feel.
would say I feel that way too when I
Yeah.
watch that movie.
So-
Usually I try to avoid feeling that way. There's enough that does that to me.
What would I do? Where would I go? Who would I be
Right.
with at the end of the world? Kind of stuff.
Would you try to make sure that we were okay?
No. I would
What about you?
know you were okay because you would be right by me.
I'd shoot.
Okay, he saved himself.
If you don't know this by now, you know, since you've seen so many of our episodes, I'm really bad at rating movies. Either I like it or I don't like it. So I liked it.
So give it a rating.
It's either 1 or 2 thumbs up.
All right, well, I'll actually go with what we're trying to do and actually put out. I will give it a good old solid thumbs up.
All right.
I'm not going to go 2 thumbs up because there's still a bit in the
It's
third
not-
act
Yeah.
that I'm not in love with. So I'd give it a good thumbs up. How about
Yeah,
you?
Sam, I'd just give it a thumbs up. It was good. I enjoyed it. I had fun watching it, and I might watch it again.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming out tonight with us. That was Tom Cruise, a film starring War of the Worlds, directed by Stephen Fanning.